This Ag Business Update brought to you by American Implement, indebted to the past, committed to the future. In a moment, K-State's Dean of the College of Agriculture, Dr. Ernie Minton.
Would you like to see something done about high gas prices and low unemployment? Western Plains Energy in Campus, Kansas is doing something about it. They're a proud part of Growth Energy, America's ethanol supporters, and they employ 38 people and will be adding more following the expansion. Ethanol fuel not only reduces the cost of regular gasoline, it's good for the environment and keeps money right here in the United States while supporting local rural jobs. Western Plains Energy, doing something for the future.
When you've had a best friend for over 50 years, you develop a trust. And the Scott Co-op has been a trusted rural friend since 1957. A co-op keeps money in the area, doing business for and with their members. And that helps keep their hometown thriving with keeping money in the community. Scott Co-op is not just an elevator. It's the rural way of doing business. So, when you see an elevator, remember your friends at Scott Co-op.
And it's our pleasure to be joined by Dr. Ernie Minton, who is the Dean of the College of Agriculture, as well as the Director of K-State Research and Extension. Dr. Minton, always great to catch up with you.
Yes, Ken. So happy to be with you as well. I think things are looking up for the state with the rain that we've been getting, so really pleased about that.
You, as we're talking, just a little bit away from graduation, a bunch of new students out now in the workforce or going on to graduate school. And so really that's what we wanted to talk about. One of your passions has been beating the drum and really focusing on something that probably hasn't been focused on as hard, and that is investment in the College of Agriculture, but especially, at least for this segment, talking about research and how that is so important. And, of course, I'm a huge advocate as well, being K-State as the first land grant.
Ken, that's absolutely right. If you look at, and of course, as you point out, our land grant status, that compels us to do things that other universities don't do. Of course, they teach students at all the Regent schools and conduct research, particularly at the R1s at KU and Wichita State as well. And we do also, but the other thing we do, of course, that is unique to Kansas State University, which is really a continuation of our research effort, is extension. So, we're committed to food, agriculture, natural resources, and of course, by that I mean water and other inputs that are important to support the economy of the state, and so that's our mission. And so when we are fortunate enough to have public funds dedicated to Kansas State University towards the College of Agriculture and K-State Research and Extension, those further the state's largest economic driver. And we've got good solid data from our state, and this is consistent with what economists have been saying nationwide, that a dollar invested in research, public dollars in research, turns into double digits to one. In our case, it's $17 of economic value for every dollar we spend in research. So it's so terribly important, and it has to be continually nurtured.
I think that's it. As folks maybe go to Manhattan that don't live in that area, come in for a football game or a basketball game, they see some of that work being done, north of the stadium. But when you really look at it, Dr. Minton, that's been several years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The campus infrastructure. I mean, there's one thing about having the pride and speaking about being the nation's first functional land grant university after the passage of the Morrill Act, but that means you have a lot of old buildings too, which is good from if those buildings are kept up with. But just like things at home, they have to be invested in periodically to keep them modern. And so we find ourselves in a position at K-State to have quite a backlog, actually, of buildings that are in need of modernization. There was a good bit of a good study that was done 5 years ago and has been updated this past year that really documents how, not just in Kansas, but nationwide, land-grant universities have a staggering accumulation of deferred maintenance backlog, and K-State would be, among those as well. So yes, we really do need to turn our attention to that particular aspect, because modern research requires modern facilities. And so we're all about that and recognizing the public good that comes from those.
Dr. Ernie Minton, who is the Dean of the College of Agriculture at Kansas State, is joining us. Let's take a break. We're going to continue down that road and look at investments in research at our ag colleges. We'll do that in just a moment.
The cost of everything has gone up dramatically over the last 75 years. With one exception: keeping electricity affordable.
Wheatland Electric, delivering energy for life, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
S&S Trailer Sales, with 2 locations in Ness City, Kansas, is where everybody goes to buy or rent trailers. They feature the all-new, all-aluminum Mauer grain trailer with all of the electric options, the easy-to-load detached trailers, and a huge stock of header trailers. At the west location, you'll find bumper poles, goosenecks, and oilfield specialty trailers, along with flat and utility beds for pickups. S&S Trailer Sales in Ness City and on the web, but remember, you do have to spell out the "and."
And our guest this week is Dr. Ernie Minton, who is the Dean of the College of Agriculture, as well as the Director of K-State Research and Extension. And we're talking about making investments into infrastructure and research at these research institutions. And Dr. Minton, you touched right before break of it's more than just K-State. It's really all the land grants and all those that are doing research. How can we turn that tide?
Well, to credit our former Senator Pat Roberts, who was chair for a number of years of the Senate Ag Committee, he and others made sure there was language in the 2018 Farm Bill that authorized a program to renew, set up a grants program through USDA to potentially renew food and agriculture infrastructure across the U.S. And that was an acknowledgement at that level, at the Congress, that this was a nationwide problem. And quite frankly, it doesn't take too much of a stretch of the imagination to understand why it can be a national food security issue. And so the point is, the authorizing language is there for us to advocate for and hope that we will be heard, that in addition to the needed repairs and investment in airports and interstate highways and bridges and those kinds of things, which are definitely needed, we also need to consider the infrastructure, which helps fuel the nation's economy and helps feed us and other countries in the world through export as well.
You've been kind of trying to talk to whoever will listen through interviews like this, articles, and so on. And you bring up an interesting point. While we have a decent relationship with China, buying a lot of ag products, China has made a big investment in their research and some of those education opportunities as they, are now competing and maybe ahead of the U.S. in some areas.
That's absolutely right. It's known that the Chinese are very much known for looking at the long game and playing that long game, and so they're knowing that a population of their size has to have food security for, stability going forward. And so they've made those investments. And while at the same time we've seen the public investment in food and ag research diminish over the last many years. So we really do need to turn that around and be cognizant of that, because it not only funds the genetics of seeds, the genetics of livestock, production technologies, and those kinds of things that are needed. But as you and I spoke about before break, it's also a key part of where you do that work and how competent those facilities are to accomplish that modern work. So it takes investment. It's like anything else that we're involved with in our daily lives.
Well, before we wrap this up, I would think one of the best things to do, those that are watching us, is you get a chance to see your member of Congress, to encourage them to support efforts to bring some research dollars and infrastructure dollars to K-State, but really those that are doing this so important research.
That's absolutely correct. We need a chorus of voices, influential voices, to really make that case, because it's a solid one. It feels so much easier when you're on the side with truth and data to back it up. And it sure enough is one of those cases where if you invest, there will be a very positive outcome. And again, it's a double digits to one turnover. Before we close, and that may be coming up soon, I do want to acknowledge the work of programs, Ken, such as the one that you're doing here, and your effort to support food and ag in the state and the region. And these kinds of voices, such as yours, are so important to us achieving that really common goal.
All right, well, we thank you for that. We try every week. So Dr. Minton, as always, thanks for your time to visit with us, and I'm sure this is a conversation that we'll continue to have. So thanks again.
You bet. It's been great being with you.
Dr. Ernie Minton is the Dean of the College of Agriculture, the Director of K-State Research and Extension. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Wolfter Construction and Irrigation has been around a long time, and a lot of folks have trusted them to design, build, and service all sizes of commercial and on-farm storage for grain and equipment. Wolfter is also known for their outstanding irrigation division, where they stock a complete selection of nozzles, regulators, drops, gear drives, electrical, and structure components. Looking for an electric motor? Wolfter has a large selection in single and three-phase. Next time, reach out to the pros who have decades of experience at taking care of business the right way. Wolfter Construction and Irrigation.
1030 KBUF has ag information weekdays beginning just a little bit after 6 o'clock. We have market updates, ag news, interviews with newsmakers, and, of course, that all-important weather. You can follow along at westernkansasnews.com or on our social media channels. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.